high side. Murphy shooting, save a rebound on the view.
Hey everyone, this is Casey. You are watching the Red River Duck One All Sports Network. Now, if you've been participating in an ESPN Tournament Challenge, you know that they do a game called ESPN Tournament Challenge Second Chance, which is basically for people who had their brackets become complete toast after the first weekend, which basically happened to basically almost everyone. Even though we didn't really have that many upsets making for a quote unquote boring tournament, because people don't like to look at the matchups that we got. But alas, if you have seen your bracket go down like mine did, I did lose one Final Four pick, then this game is for you. Now, it's now time to go over my second chance bracket. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Could switching to Geico really save you 15% or more on...
Psych! Nah, I wouldn't do that to you. So, going over each region, over in the South region, you have Auburn, Michigan, Ole Miss, and Michigan State. I did manage to get the 2 seeds right, Auburn and Michigan State. As a matter of fact, I have them going into the Elite Eight. Do I still have them going into the Elite Eight? You'll see in a few minutes. And then over on the East region, you have Duke, Arizona, BYU, and Alabama. This was the only region where I managed to get all 4 teams right, if you saw my predictions video. And then down in the West region, you have Florida, Maryland, Texas Tech, and Arkansas. And Florida did me a favor in proving me wrong about UConn. So, Gators, I really appreciate it. The only team I got right in that region, however, was Texas Tech. You saw what happened with Memphis and Colorado State, and you saw that Arkansas, even whether it's Kentucky or Arkansas, John Calipari will eliminate Rick Pitino teams in the tournament. And then over in the Midwest region, you got Houston, Purdue, Kentucky, and Tennessee. The only team I got wrong was Purdue. I had Clemson going there, but you know what happened. Least likely upset that got picked turned out to be one of the 2 correct. So, out of 16, I managed to get 10 of the Sweet 16 picks right. 3 of my Final Four picks are still alive, but that includes 2 number 1 seeds and 1 number 2 seed. Whether they'll make it that far is to be determined. But let's go ahead and go over the South region. Am I going to stick with my pick of Auburn, Michigan State? For Michigan State, I kind of like it. They did start slow against Bryant, but then they picked it up. And I expect the same thing to happen here with Ole Miss. They have a very, very talented team. This is Ole Miss's first trip to the Sweet 16 since 2001. And they more than earned their right into the Sweet 16. Taking out a North Carolina team that many thought should not be there and proving the selection people outside of the selection committee right. With Michigan, their defense will tend to suffocate teams, and that does concern me about Auburn a little bit. But even if you take out one Janai Bruin, like I said with Duke, if you take out one head of the Hydra, you got to deal with 6 more. And I have a feeling that's going to be the same with Auburn against Michigan. So who do I have advancing out of the South region? Am I sticking with Auburn? Or am I sticking with Michigan State? Am I sticking with Michigan State, or am I switching to Auburn? In that case, I'm still going to say Michigan State goes to the Final Four, because they still have a well-rounded roster. And I feel like they can deal with more than one of the heads of the Hydra in Janai Broom. Over in the East region, Duke in Arizona, BYU and Alabama. I had Duke and Alabama as my Elite Eight matchup, and I'm sticking with it because these two teams are probably one of the most talented in this tournament, and they play in the same region. It's a shame. Because with Duke, you have Cooper Flagg, Tyrese Proctor, Con Newpel. There's a whole lot of people you have to deal with around this team. And with Alabama, you have Grant Nelson, you have Mark Sears. These two teams are going to be difficult to contain if you're Arizona and BYU. As for who I have advancing out of the East, I'm still going to say my national champion pick in Duke. And over in the West region, we have Florida, Maryland, Texas Tech, and Arkansas. Now, that one I got completely wrong. And Arkansas, I think, does have the talent to continue a somewhat Cinderella run for John Calipari here. But with Texas Tech, I have to pick him. And with Florida and Maryland, with Walter Clayton, Walter Clayton, Elijah Martin, there's a whole lot of people you got to stop. And I'm going to say we're going to have Florida and Texas Tech with, I think, Florida. They've won me over with their performances. And Florida definitely is going to be one of the teams to watch out for. As for the Midwest, with Houston, Purdue, Kentucky, and Tennessee, I'm going to stick with my Elite Eight pick in Houston and Kentucky. With Houston, you do have LJ Crier and crew. For Kentucky, you have Otega Owe. You have Amari Williams. There's a whole lot of guys to watch out for. And also Lamont Butler, who does have Final Four experience with San Diego State. Do I think Houston can take down Kentucky? I did have Houston, but this is going to be another switcheroo. I'm going to say Kentucky is going to take it down Houston and go to the Final Four. So there's a look at the Final Four. 2 number ones, a 2 and a 3. We have Michigan State taking on Florida. And this is going to be difficult. I did have Michigan State as my national championship pick. But looking at the team and who they were able to take down, I'm going to say Florida is going to the national championship. And then, of course, Duke and Kentucky. That's going to be a great battle between two traditional blue bloods. And I'm going to say, with the talent, Duke comes out on top. So you have Florida versus Duke. I expect, and I'm sure the scorekeeper is going to be looking at, the scorekeeper is going to get a good night's sleep. He's going to have to get a good night's sleep with these two teams. Let's just say that. Florida and Duke. I'm still going to stick with my national champion pick in Duke. In terms of tiebreaker, I believe the score will be 82-80. So I'm going to say 162. So that is a look at the bracket. At least what I have in the Final Four. I'm going to say Duke is still my national champion. But that is going to do it for me. I can't wait to stream the Sweet 16. It's going to be fun, as well as the Elite Eight. It's going to be so much fun. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to the Red Rubber Duck on All Sports Network. And I hope you guys enjoy the games because there's going to be a whole lot of good matchups in the Sweet 16, Elite Eight, Final Four going forward. But I'll see you guys on Thursday for the streams. Until we meet again, I'll see you all in the next one. Take care. But seriously, if I have to hear that commercial one more time. God damn it.